That cost how much?
Hi everyone, my name's Kelsey.
And my name is Becky.
And we are the Sorry Girls.
And welcome back to what I think is one of my favorite shows we do here on Sorry Girls. That cost how much? A show where we get offended by really expensive stuff. Today, we are going to be duping items from Pottery Barn, but more specifically the holiday Christmas section of Pottery Barn.
We have 3 fun DIYs. We're gonna try to make them for a lot cheaper than they retail for. But as always, if you guys love these items, because they are beautiful, we will link them below so you can purchase them if you so choose to.
If you're not in the DIY mood today.
That's fine.
But we are, so let's get on to the first one. Okay, so first up, I'm gonna be trying to recreate this gorgeous white faux fur stocking. This retails on Pottery Barn for $40, and I think we can do it for a lot less. So this stocking is made mainly out of 2 fabrics. One's a white faux fur and one's like a white velvet. So I picked up 2 similar fabrics. This is a white furry faux fur and it's so soft and beautiful. And this was $11.30 for half a yard of this. And this is like a white corduroy velvet, and I got also half a yard of this, and this is $5.30. So my first step is going to be actually making the stocking shape, which I'm gonna do out of the faux fur by folding the good sides together and drawing out my stocking shape. So when you go to put your 2 pieces of faux fur together, it's really important to make sure the fur is going in the same directions. Both sides, the fur is pointing downwards. So I pinned my 2 pieces together so that they weren't moving around when I was trying to draw out the stocking, and then next, I used a pencil and sketched out my stocking shape. I think mine was about 8 inches wide and about 12 inches down, with a little bit of an angle where the foot goes. Once I was happy with the shape, I repositioned the pins to be on the inside of the stocking, and then I used some sharp fabric scissors to just cut out the shape. And when I was cutting it out, I made sure to leave roughly about a 1/4 inch seam allowance because I'm gonna need that space for my fabric glue to go, which brings me to the next step. So you could totally sew this together with the sewing machine if you wanted to, or hand sew it, but I'm gonna go for a fabric glue option. We have this fabric glue, it's about $6. I will link it below for you. So as you can probably tell, my first stocking was very sheddy and very furry, which made the glue a little bit messy, but as long as you're putting a lot down and pressing the fur together really hard, it should have no problem sticking. So I let that dry completely, and then I flipped it inside out to reveal my fluffy little white stocking boot. I actually just want these as shoes. But the next step I was gonna be to create that velvet white trim across the top. So fold your fabric in half to form one long strip, and we know the stocking is about 7 inches wide, so we wanna double that and add a little bit to create a tube that is the same size as the top of the stocking. So I measured out 16 inches just to be safe. Next, use some fabric glue and sew up the sides and all the way across the top, and then fold it together and pinch it in place until the glue is dry. Now we can add some glue onto the bottom strip of that strip that we just made and put it on the inside of the stocking. We're gonna be making the tube sit on the inside of the stocking so that when it's dry, we can fold it down to create a nice like folded velvet rim around the top of the stocking. So go ahead and glue that long strip all the way to the inside of the stocking. And when you get to the ends, you're gonna wanna combine your raw edges together and sew up that strip and hold that in place as well to complete your tube. And once it feels like your glue is completely dry, you get that satisfying moment of folding down the top edge to create the top nice velvet part of your stocking. So this is looking so cute already and so soft and so velvety, and I love it. But the last step is to make the little tab where we can hang the stocking onto your mantle or wherever you want to hang it on your stairs. So I'm going to do that by using a small strip of that same white fabric and gluing that together. And then lastly, I'm gonna actually add that to the top of the stocking using a little bit of a needle and thread just to make sure it's really secure so that when we're hanging things that might be a little bit heavy, it doesn't go anywhere. So this is the final result of the stocking and how it turned out. I think it's so cute. I especially love this white cuff at the top. I think it makes it look so luxe and beautiful. So overall, this only cost us $22.60 to make, and the original one from Pottery Barn retails for over $40. So I think that's pretty good. The only difference I would say is that we were looking at the Pottery Barn one and the fur is like a little bit speckled, or the one that we were looking at was, it was like a speckly brown white. And we were trying to figure out how to do that because ours is just plain white. We were thinking about paint or dye or stain. And I was just worried that doing any of that might mess it up more than it would save it. But if you have any thoughts on how you actually dye or speckle faux fur, please let me know because I would love to try it out in the future for another video.
Okay, so next up, I'm going to be trying to make this tin counting down the days until Christmas Santa sign. And you can buy it for $99, $100 for this sign that you literally will only use for 25 days. So let's try to DIY it. So to recreate this, I'm going to be using this metal ducting. You guys might remember this from our CB2 video where we recreated a metal box. So I'm actually going to be using the leftover of that because we have it. But if we were to buy this new, it would cost us $5.50 USD, so not too bad. So my first step is going to be tracing out the shape and cutting it out. To cut this out, I use some aviation snips, and you just have to be really careful because this can get very sharp. And then I also just cut off the corners on an angle. And my next step is to use this wire. This wire cost us $1, and I'm just going to bend it around and then glue it into place. Once my border was on, I added some dots of hot glue to act as the screws, and I think it looks very similar. I'm really liking how this is going. So my next step is going to be painting gray around the outside to match the ribbing that's on it, and a little bit of gray at the top because there's some gray detail up there. And then I'm going to be going over the whole thing with a beigey nude, except for some taped off details at the top so I can match the stripes that are on the original. The paint altogether was $6, and now I'm going to mark out my grid on the bottom, which I'm doing 2 inches by 2 inch squares. I'm going to be doing 5 of them, 5 by 5, 25. Thank goodness Christmas is the 25th, otherwise, like, imagine it was like the 26th of December. Like, that would screw things up. Or maybe you would do like 4 by math. I figured out what my grid size was going to be using a pencil, and then I just went over it with a Sharpie. I just thought Sharpie might be a little bit easier than paint and give off the same look. And then for Santa across the top, I just tried to freehand mimic the font, which was a little bit difficult, but I think it turned out okay. I sketched it out in pencil, and then I colored it in with red paint. And it needed a couple coats of that because my red paint is kind of sheer. I don't know if it's just because I bought cheap paint or what. We're trying to save money, so that means I have to do extra coats. And then next up, I am going to draw the letters. So again, I'm just going to kind of mimic the font, and I'm going to be using a black Sharpie instead of black paint because it's gonna make this way easier. And I'm using about $4 worth of Sharpies because I have 2 colors here. Okay, when that's all done, it's looking good. I have my 25 days until Christmas. And to mark which day of the week it is, we're going to be recreating the snowflake. So there's like a wood with magnets. I'm going to be making mine out of craft foam with magnets because it's a little bit cheaper and a lot easier to cut out. The white foam sheet would be $1 and a magnet would be another $1. And we're all good to go.
Stop falling!
This was a little bit harder than I thought it would be. I was looking at this tin board and I'm like, oh my God, that's so easy. It's just like a little bit of paint. But by the time I added all of the details around the edges and even the different layers of paint, I had to like let them dry, Sharpie, everything. It was a little bit harder than I thought, but overall, I think it turned out pretty cute, and it's definitely gonna do the job and help you count down to Christmas. So altogether, my countdown sign cost $18.50 to make, and the original was $99.
So last up, I'm gonna attempt to recreate this gorgeous floral wreath. Now I know wreaths are pretty expensive, but this one retails for $112, which feels like a lot to me for something that hangs on your door for a couple weeks out of the whole year. So this wreath looks like it's made out of large, almost rubber plant-esque leaves. So we went to the dollar store where things aren't always actually $1 and got these bunches of leaves that were $2 each for a total of $10 in leaves. So my first step is gonna be to pick these all off and spray paint them green. Both of these cans of spray paint, the green and the gold, were both $6.05 each. And I'm also gonna spray paint some of them gold because on the Pottery Barn wreath, some of the skinnier leaves are actually a gold finish as well. So once the leaves were done being painted, they looked like this. And I wasn't worried too much about getting the backs of the leaves perfectly green because the leaves on the Pottery Barn wreath actually have a lighter color on the back. So saves me some time and it actually looks closer to the real thing. So win, win, win. So next up before I move on is taking the gold leaves and I'm gonna trim them down because the ones on the Pottery Barn wreath look almost more like feathers even though they still are leaves. They're like long and skinny. So I'm gonna give these a little bit of a trim on both sides. Once I have all my leaves ready, it's time to assemble the wreath. So the base of this wreath is kind of like, I don't know what the word for this is, like sticks or twigs that are like wrapped together in a round wreath branchy shape type deal. So this is what I'm gonna use to put the wreath on. And to attach it all, I'm gonna be using some green floral wire. So the circular wreath base was $5.60 and the floral wire was $4.32. So I'm gonna be wrapping the leaves on in a circle all the way around, alternating mostly green and a little bit of gold. Okay, so this was a little difficult to get into the groove of it at the beginning, but I found the best system was to take the wire and wrap the base of the leaf and then wrap the wire around the ring. So every time I went around, I grabbed a new leaf and wrapped the base, and then went around again, grabbed some new leaves, wrapped those bases, and went again. And as you get in the groove of doing it, it becomes easier and faster, and in the end, this is how my wreath has turned out, and it's really cute, you guys. Although the leaves are not identical to the original one, I am loving this vibe. It's definitely very similar, just with slightly different leaf shapes, but especially the gold ones like really look really good. So the last step actually is to add some lights. So the original Pottery Barn one does light up with little string lights, and I think that might be why it's so pricey, because it does light up. But you can get a little strip of these LED fairy lights like this on Amazon for like $6. So that's gonna be my last step, is to just wrap this around the wreath, and then we are pretty much done. Okay, overall, honestly, with the lights now especially, it's a super similar vibe. It's so cute, I love it. It's slightly smaller, but honestly, it gives the same idea. And this one cost us $38 to make, and the original one cost $112. So I think this is much more worth the price. Let us know which of the three you think we did the best, or maybe came the closest to, although I don't think this time we had any like literally identical buddies. I think they're all in the same vibe, which, I mean, that's kind of the point anyways.
Yeah, they're a little bit more like sisters, not twins. Even though twins are sisters, they're like cousins, but like very closely related cousins.
I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you want to see more videos like this where we try and recreate things from expensive stores, we have a bunch that we've made in the past, and we'll link those below for you as well.
And we also have lots of holiday videos, decor, gift ideas, so we also link those below. But before we go, we do have a special message for a special someone.
We wanted to give a huge shout out and thank you to Ashley, who has been our editor over the last year. She's done a lot of the videos that you guys have seen and really liked the editing, and so have we. She is now not editing for us to do her own thing, because she has an amazing YouTube channel and she's in school and all that fun jazz. So we want you guys to go check her out. Again, her name's Ashley. She does fashion and lifestyle and all that really cool stuff. Plus, she's so funny.
Yeah, and most of you guys already know her because she's great.
She's great. But if you don't know who she is, check her out and please give her a subscribe. That will help our giant thank you from us to her.
Yeah, and thank you, Ashley. We will miss you.
Bye guys, I'll miss you.
Thank you guys for watching this video. If you like it, make sure you give it a like.
And if you love it, make sure you sub it.
And we'll see you next time.